Good morning, everybody. Hope you're well. Welcome to Game Week 9 Deadline stream, and it's live. My name's James, and we are just under 1 hour until the Game Week 9 deadline. While I send out links to people, clarification on what I've done with my own team for this week. So, I sold Trent, obviously. Had to be done, unfortunately. Yes, gone. Bought in Nico Williams, as you'll see on the graphic in the top right-hand corner. And I'm playing him. I'm well aware of Liverpool being weak defensively. He's a 3.9 million defender playing for Liverpool. I like it personally. So, I've also sold Christian Pulisic, obviously injured. And I've gone for Bruno. He's in as captain. So, in the top right-hand corner of the graphic, you'll see my team for this week includes bench in order. That's locked in. That's not going to change. Bottom right hand corner of the graphic, you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference this week. It is wide open, but probably the top person on that list who's going to obviously be very popular. But I think there are a number of players who are not even included in that top 10, such as Jamie Vardy, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, who's got a flag. Literally loads of people. James Rodriguez, who you could pick as very viable options for this game week. Gabriel Jesus might be another. There are loads. Diogo Jota. So really wide open in terms of captaincy this week. But those are my top 10 preferences in order. As ever, as you can see, top left-hand corner of the screen, graphics provided by FPL Captain are hero on the graphics, and fixtures are going along the bottom ticker on the right. For those familiar with my Ask James streams who aren't normally here, this will be much faster paced. I will get through as many of your questions as possible. If you ask a repeat question, prepared to get muted, and you probably won't ever get your question answered again. Good luck, everybody. Let's do this. Chris Duckworth says, good morning. Good morning, Chris. Jack Wilson. Hey, James. Sterling and KDB on Wildcard. Thoughts? Love it, mate. If you're going to wildcard into this period, which I don't think is the best week to do it personally, but if you're doing it, I think at least one City midfielder is in terms of the premium boys, is going to feel high priority. Get you ready for next week. I'm not sure I would go both now. I would probably leave a space open to get another one next week. But it's absolutely viable to go both, Jack. No problem at all with that. Neil Thompson, morning. Still tinkering on wildcard. Uh-oh. Jack says, Bamford or Antonio on wildcard. I would... it's a bloody tough one, that. I would want to prioritise Antonio, but I don't think he'll start tomorrow. I think he'll be a substitute, personally. Edwin Guan says, play Mitchell in the hope he starts. You absolutely can do, mate. Decent fixture against shot-shy Burnley. I don't think he'll start, though. Haku says, KDB price rise to 11.6 came out of nowhere. The people behind FPL were so biased. Well, I can certainly say yes. That was... You will not see a more shocking price rise all season, I don't believe. Most of the prediction sites had him at sort of minus 20% or so to get a rise. I've never seen, personally, someone get a rise from that sort of position. So it was a big shock. But I prefer not to dwell on these things. What's the moaning going to do? They ain't going to change it, are they? It is what it is. The Emerald Pilot says, good morning, James. I have last conundrum before game week starts. Play Lamptey or Soufal. The other two slots are reserved for Chelsea defenders, Chilwell and James. I think Soufal, mate. Hard to foresee a Brighton clean sheet at Villa. I actually think West Ham might get beat tomorrow, personally. But Sheffield United aren't going to be banging in loads of goals. There's always a possibility of a clean sheet against them. Lewis Cole says, hi James, Sky question, Grealish in for JWP or Barnes? Neither. Leave it. Go back to him on Monday week. Atul says, hey James, and it'll probably be for Ward-Prowse, but the Southampton-Brighton game match week 11 might yet land on a Friday. But generally I'd leave it, Lewis, unless you were desperate to captain him today. Atul says, hey James, which two would you pick? Brewster, Kilman and Cole Walker-Peters. Thanks and good luck. I would probably go Brewster and Kilman, but there's not a lot in it. I actually fancy Saints to win at Wolves actually on Monday as well, but Wolves, pound for pound, a great defensive side, and every time you underestimate them, a clean sheet may well come. So I think Brewster and Kilman, although having said that, I also said yesterday, I've got a sneaky that Brewster won't start either. Therefore, you might want to go with the two defensive guys. Jacob NH says, morning James, who would you start out? Lookman, Taylor and Lamptey. Lookman against Everton, writing's on the wall, isn't it, against former club? Definitely Charlie Taylor, so it would be those two. In preference of the three, I would probably go Charlie Taylor just over Lookman. That's not great though. You want to be playing Lookman really. Harry Redmond said, hey boss, Bruno in this week and then Sterling and Jesus next week, or Rashford then Sterling and Vardy. Rashford's such a gamble for this week. The thing is, he's fit, most likely. He trained yesterday. Do they need to risk him at home to West Brom? We've got an important Champions League game on Tuesday as well. Do they need to risk him from the start? I can foresee Rashford being a substitute and getting used if they need him. Chris Duckworth, I've already taken a -4 this week and consider another -4. Move Wilson to Watkins. What do you think? Not keen on that as a -4, Chris, to be honest. You remember Wilson's on pens and that at Newcastle as well. I think he probably does start, judging by Steve Bruce's comments yesterday. He's obviously very important to them. Jack Wilson says, top 5 players you would have on Wildcard. Mighty good question. Ollie Watkins have been near the top of that list. So players I haven't got in my squad currently, let's say. De Bruyne, Sterling. I would potentially have gone for Mane if I'd been on Wildcard at the moment, I think. Ollie Watkins and someone who isn't in my squad, probably Reece James. Aisha Acton's in. Good morning, Aisha. Jonathan says, hi James, thoughts on Castagne? Good player, likely to be fit for tomorrow if that's what the question is referring to. Hassan Wire, hi James, do you think Sterling will start? Yes, I do. Aisha says, how do you feel about Salah to Bruno captain, TAA to Cresswell? Yeah, don't mind that at all, Aisha. Sujan Shah's in the chat for those drinking early. Swig your beer. Benny Blanco, morning James, differential team. Would you take Aguero and Foden out for Watkins and Rashford captain for a -4, or just hold the City players for their good run now? Hold the City players for their good run now. Jovil says, that's different to a main team, by the way. I'd be amazed if Aguero started today. I think what I'd probably look for there, Benny, genuinely, I'd just go Aguero to Watkins and leave it at that. Jovil says, Chilwell or Telles for the next 8 fixtures. On paper, it's Telles from a fixtures perspective, but we don't know how locked he's going to be, right? Luke Shaw is injured at the moment. It's very easy to overlook that. I would probably side with Chilwell still. But if Alex Telles gets run of games for Manchester United, he's going to be on a few set pieces and whatnots, which could well be detrimental to Bruno, by the way. And he will get some returns. Sandish says, hi James, Ziyech or Sterling for the next 3? Sterling for me, mate. William Jones, hi James, hope you're okay, mate. What do you make of Rashford and Fernandes for this West Brom game? Well, Bruno's my captain. I think he's the standout choice. Although I don't think it's a lot of people, you've got to do it. I don't feel that at all. I think he's the best choice, but I don't think it's... I mean, I'm not a massive favourite. If someone else has got a preference for someone else, I really don't mind. And as I said on Rashford, I think he might be a sub, personally. As he says, morning James, thanks for tackling homophobia. Volunteered for Stonewall. What do you think of Jared Bowen currently? Those two things are not related, I presume. Thank you very much for your feedback, Azzy. Jared Bowen, good player. Always very capable of returns for West Ham in the majority of games. Difficult little patch coming up. Sheffield United, Villa, Man United's not brilliant on paper for him, I don't think. Do like him as a player, though. I think he's got a lot of potential. Max says Walker Peters or Kilman to start. I'd lean into Kilman personally, despite the fact I'm saying I actually think Southampton might win on Monday, but I think Wolves they'll always get you when you don't expect anything off them. So I think Kilman I would go. Joe Murphy says morning, just one question, start Brewster or Dallas. It's a difficult one. I would probably go Brewster, even though I've said that I think he might not start, because it's hard to foresee Leeds clean sheets. I've got Ayling first sub, What would I do if I had Brewster? How would I have ordered them? I think I would probably put Brewster ahead of Ayling, personally. So, yeah, I'll just about go Brewster, Joe. It's not an easy call, that, though. John says, hi, James. I think you're great. Cheers, pal. TJ Durham, morning, James. Is Taylor to Cancelo a good transfer for next week? Thinking of differentials instead of Walker and Diaz. Very good point, TJ, by the way, because although it feels like everyone on Twitter is talking about Cancelo, you are right. He will be a differential, no doubt about it. And timing-wise, yes, off the back of Burnley playing Palace, their next few are City, Everton, Arsenal, Villa, Wolves, Leeds. That's their next 6. So, yeah, I like that, TJ. Sounds like a good move to next week. You're always going to run a risk with Cancelo of the rotation, but it sounds like a good move to myself. Gerald says, double West Ham United until double game week 19. Is it a good choice? Well, forget about blank game week 18 and double game week 19 because you don't know if West Ham are going to have a blank or a double. So I wouldn't be looking quite that far ahead, to be honest with you. As in double defensive, I'm not keen, man. They're liable to let you down. Look at the games coming up for West Ham after this week. Villa, United, Leeds, Chelsea are 4 of the following 5. If you're looking for double West Ham clean sheets, I'm not keen on that personally. And TJ says, hi James, hope you're well. Why do you think Fernandes played better away from home? Would Tellers affect Fernandes' performance? Thank you. Good luck, James. So, I don't think it will affect his performance. The inclusion of Tellers might affect him in terms of the amount of set pieces he's on. That's worth noting. I know Mark Southerns was talking about that on Black Box last night, and obviously Az was as well. Why has he performed better away from home? A little bit more in terms of space, I should imagine. A lot of teams, and you'll get another one today, are going to come up with a low block against Manchester United in West Brom. The thing is with Bruno, I highlighted this on my stream yesterday. No goals from open play in home games for Manchester United since he joined the club. Remarkable statistic. However, he can quite easily get a penalty and an assist, a 5-yard assist to someone who bangs one in. And that's him on 22 points or something, right? So, if you captain him, obviously. So, I mean, that record at home is a little bit of a freak, and I think that will level out at some point. It's a little bit of an anomaly. Because, for example, he played against Newcastle, and obviously he got big returns late in the game, where they obviously put up a low block, and he's got plenty of returns in that game, right? So, Antonino Gitter says, is Kane to Vardy for -4 madness? Just thinking of the poor Liverpool defence. So, is it madness? No. Would I do it? No. You're asking Jamie Vardy to score 5 or more points more than Harry Kane will get this weekend. Just sit back and reflect on that. The one benefit is, if obviously you do it and, I don't know, let's say worst case scenario, Kane scores and Vardy scores once and they both get 6 points each, you're probably going to feel better being in a position next week with Vardy at home to Fulham. But then, why not just make the move next week? Probably because you're thinking, I want to get Man City assets. I don't know, but for me, no, I don't think it is. I'd rather take that as part of a -4 next week, I think. Jonathan says, hi James, can we trust PVA for the next 3 ahead of Mitchell? Trust? No. I think PVA will play. I think he'll stay in the team, but the word is, obviously, he hasn't agreed a new contract with Palace, which expires this year. And there's a few noises within the club that people are getting a bit frustrated with that. There's reports that he's potentially looking to go back and get a pre-contract agreement with one of the top clubs in Holland for next season. Should that affect him in terms of playing now? I don't believe so, personally. I would be surprised if I saw the team on Monday and Mitchell was in the team over PVA. There is an element of risk in buying him. I don't like buying defenders with the thinking, or this is for 3 game weeks, unless you've got a planned wildcard quite quickly afterwards. Z21293, morning James, thoughts on Vardy versus Liverpool? Need to get him or Cancelo in this week from my midterm plans. Why can't you get both next week? Why do you have to get one of them now? Genuinely, if you got one free transfer, so you can use it as part of 2 free transfers this week, or it's a hit this week. Doesn't particularly seem worth it. I don't think you do need to get one of them in this week. It depends who you're replacing, right? It's a really difficult question to answer as well, because I don't know who obviously you're selling out of the two. In terms of prioritising one right now, yeah, all right, probably Vardy, but I've just obviously said wouldn't sell Kane for him, and that's probably the position you might be in. Eulogio says, morning James, good luck for this weekend. Is Sterling captain to punty with Dominic Calvert-Lewin in my team? It's not for me, because I think there's enough doubt on Raheem Sterling starting to not want to put the armband on him. But as I said on the top of the stream, there's a lot of people who are not on my top 10 captaincy preferences this week, including Vardy, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford. If people want to take a real gamble on, Hakim Ziyech will be another one. I don't hate it. I think it's really wide open this week, actually, but it comes with a huge element of risk, and I think Calvert-Lewin is a very sensible choice for this week, personally. Neil Thompson says, Justin or Fofana for a Leicester defender? Fofana, because Ricardo Pereira is nearing fitness, and we've kind of been screaming this since the start, that once he's fit, a lot of the Leicester people think that Justin will come out of the team. They don't rate him as a player, actually. Edwin Grant says, play Lamptey or Foden. Foden, my friend. Lauren Harris, hello Lauren, says, hi James, start Cody or Dallas. Cody is an injury doubt, so I'm currently on Dallas. Well, that shouldn't matter too much, Lauren, because Cody will either play or he won't play. He's not going to be a substitute who comes on. So, probably Cody would be the answer. Although I hate him as an FPL asset, personally. I would like the more adventurous Dallas, who I think will probably go back to left back this week. But Leeds might change that in-game depending on Arsenal's system, because I think Arsenal might also change to a back four. But if they do expect Dallas at left back, if they play a 5, Dallas might move into differential territory, shall we say. I'm not convinced yet that that's actually any better for him. Cody, though, if he's in your squad, you probably start him. He's not going to be a sub, Lauren. He'll play or he won't play. Simon says, among Foden, Kilman and Target, which two should I play? I have Martinez in the goal. I don't think that should really affect your attitude to that. Definitely play Foden. I would... tough Kilman versus Target. I'd possibly edge for Target, you know. Eric Fordham, hey James, selling Salah and already have Rashford. Is getting Fernandes in with Rashford too much in your opinion? Could go for Mane or KDB rather than double up on United. Thoughts? I would suggest, Eric, that if you get Bruno with Rashford, there's a strong chance you're going to want to sell one of them next week. If it's not next week, it'll almost definitely be the week after, probably. But for this week, imagine they both start. Could be absolutely brilliant for you. That's the upside. So no, I don't hate it. You'll be thinking if you go that way, how are you going to get to a City afterwards, most likely. But I don't hate it. GF says, morning James, you think Rashford will be starting? My instinct is he'll be a sub. But I don't have any intel. It's just literally an opinion that I think the United don't need to risk him. And I think he might be a substitute. Harry Redmond says, Souček or Taylor Walker? No, you have 3 at the back. I'm not quite sure what you're asking me there, Harry. You asking me to pick one from them to play? You've got to play Kyle Walker if you own, irrespective of fixture, I think. So Kyle Walker, and I've gone Taylor over Souček. So, and yes, I would have picked Taylor over Souček anyway, to be honest, on their fixtures this week. Anthony Chung says, morning James, play 1 and first on the bench. Taylor, Ayling, Justin. That's the right order, mate. Leave it like that. Jonathan says, Captain Albra's a punt this week. Your thoughts? I don't hate it. I don't know why you've got Aubameyang in your team. Genuinely. I don't think there's many others going to be on this stream going, yeah, I got Aubameyang. Been sitting on it since game week 1. But if you're there and you've arrived at it, it's not the worst choice. Look, I do have him 9th on my list of top 10 captaincy picks. It could well open up on the counter-attack for Arsenal tomorrow. But generally speaking, I mean, if you've got any of them other 8, and you might argue certain others that are not on that list, there could be better options, I think, than Aubameyang. Garang says, Zaha or Barkley, Diaz or Cancelo. What are we doing here? We buying Garang? If we're buying, I don't mind Barkley to go with Grealish. Diaz or Cancelo. My preference over this period would be Diaz, personally. Cancelo's the better option. We discussed this at length on Thursday's Clash to Correspondence. It's a risk that I wouldn't need as a headache at the moment, personally, with Cancelo. The upside's great, but I would go with Diaz. I think that's a little bit more secure at the moment. Luke Hopkinson says, morning James, happy Saturday. Podence out for Jota. Salah out for Bruno, captain. My dilemma is Ayling or Cole Peters to start. Have a look at my bench, mate. There's your answer. FPL telling Josh, good luck for the game week, James. Got a sneaky feeling Spurs get something against City. Well, fingers crossed, my friend, but I'm apprehensive to say the least. We've been very, very lucky in games against Manchester City in our recent history. And if City play like they played against us in February, they'll win very comfortably later today. Although admittedly our team is in a better position as well. We didn't have obviously Harry Kane that day, Gareth Bale now as well, Højbjerg, a few others. Apprehensive. My anticipation is City will win, and I think they'll probably win quite comfortably. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I absolutely obviously hope that I'm wrong. John says, which City defenders would you recommend? Is Cancelo a rotation risk? Just covered. Notorious Nerd, who will you play? Dallas versus Arsenal or Lamptey versus Villa? I'd go for Dallas, mate. Nasu says, what is your plans with Foden? He's probably going to sit there at the moment, unless he becomes the easy gateway for me financially into Sterling or De Bruyne, if that's what I need to do. But the intention is I've got this far, them 3 out of 4 home games that are coming up, and actually for me looking to wildcard in game week 16, it's 4 out of 6 if you include Newcastle at home. I think he's got to hang around for me. He could be great value at that price, so it's not a priority for me. If they had a harder run of fixtures, I'd be looking to get rid, but I think there's every chance he might just hang around for me, mate. Matt says, morning James, played Ryan or McCarthy in goal of Walker Peters already. Grim, double Southampton at Wolves, but that's probably the right choice as McCarthy. Daniel Lambert, hi James, Captain Sterling or DCL on the screen, mate. That'll make it pretty clear for you. Jack Wilson, think Chilwell starts? Yes. Praise says, hey James, play Son and bench Bamford or no? Have a good game week. You can't be benching Heung-min Son, my friend. You don't really want to be benching Patrick Bamford either. Suggest you have a second look at your team, my friend. You can't be benching Heung-min Son. Eric Fordham says also a -4 to get KDB in for Son this week to avoid needing to do the transfer next week, as I feel I will have more pressing issues. You feel you will? You won't? What difference does it make, Eric? You could do it for a -4 now, or you could do it as a free transfer next week and then deal with the other issues. No, it's probably not for me. I mean, look, KDB, I think will probably return today. Heung-min Son has a great record against Manchester City as well. No, I don't think it's worth a -4. If I thought it was worth a -4, I'd have done it myself. Badman Tunes, do you know if any Prem players play today? Okay, so we've got 4 games, 11 players on each. So what's that? 88 players. Plus what? 3 possible subs for each. Burnley aren't playing, so that's helpful. So the majority of teams will use 3 subs. So another 24 on top of that. 92, 112. Let's say there's 1 or 2 don't use all their subs. So I'll predict 109 players to play today, Badman. Jesus. Jack Wilson, Reece James and Ziyech. Or Chilwell and Zaha. James and Ziyech for me, mate. Sukran, Barkley to Grealish for -4, or Robertson out for any alternatives for a -4. Neither. Sit tight. Chris Woods, hi James, thoughts on Salah to Sterling for -4. I also intend to transfer in KDB next week. I'd go the other way then, Chris. I'd go KDB now. That's my opinion is that, again, we discussed this on Thursday's pod, that probably prefer to go to Sterling next week. But if the intention is to get both, I would buy KDB first. He's likely to play quite high up in the game today. So that would be my preference. Anti Chung says Vasiliev to Watkins for a 4 and change formation from 4-4-2 to 3-4-3. We've obviously got a definite non-playing player there, so yeah, I don't hate that at all. Aisha says, thanks James, have a brilliant game week, appreciate this stream so much. Thank you Aisha, you too. Shamil says, morning James, what's your plans with Foden? Just covered that, my friend. Neil says, differential captain Werner or Grealish. Preference would just be for Werner, but not a lot in it actually. I know Suj is going captain Werner, so good luck to him. Hope he obviously falls on his face. No, I always hope Suj does well. It's just better for the pod if it fucks up. Neil says differential, that just done that one. He says you have Bruno and DCL as well. Bruno then, mate. Mahesh says double up on United with Rashford and Bruno captain, or get Ziyech in alongside Rashford and captain the former. I'd go to double up, mate. Chris Woods, hi James, as things stand, I'm holding both Salah and TAA until we hear more news. You think it's better to transfer them out? It would involve hits. Yeah, I'd get them both out, mate. That's a little too much money, I think, to be holding. Personally, I would get Salah out and go back. If you haven't got Bruno Fernandes, you can go Salah to Bruno, stick the armband on him, captain this week. If it flops and Salah's back next week, you can reverse the transfer next Friday. TAA, I mean, Klopp didn't give any indication yesterday of, we might be back for Brighton or something like that. Even I sold TAA, and you know what I'm like. William Jones has retracted his message, no probs. Victor says, hey James, also have Bruno as captain at the moment. With that being said, how was your captain picks worked out so far? Good luck this game week. Well, I've only captained 3 players so far, actually. So I captained Aubameyang in the first 2 game weeks. That wasn't disastrous. Goal at Fulham, assist against West Ham. I did KDB in game weeks 3 and 4, which were 2 blanks, unfortunately. And I captained Harry Kane in the last 4 fixtures. It's actually not too bad this season, I guess. What was Kane's poorest return in there was just the assist at Burnley. It's still a return, isn't it? So I guess technically you would call that two blanks out of 8. It's not too bad. But for those who've known me a little bit longer, my captaincy record last year was absolutely abysmal. So I definitely wouldn't particularly be following my opinion in terms of what I'm doing captain. But yes, I'm going to be on Bruno. Andy Cairns is in, says morning. Harry Redmond, captain out of Rashford, Grealish and Watkins. Clues on the screen, Harry. Ashar Ali, you think Salah to James Rodriguez could be a great differential move this week? Sydney's been going under the radar because of Bruno. Yeah, I don't mind that. And because Everton have Leeds at home next week and then Burnley away afterwards, you might actually feel that you can hold that a little bit longer. Gravy Dave, James, is your tree up yet? No, we probably won't even put one up. Harry will just pull the fucking thing down straight away, probably. So, for health and safety, probably won't even put one up. Andres says, morning, James. Again, the same problem. Which one to play? Kilman, Foden or Souček? In that order, I would go Foden, Souček. I'd probably go Souček over Kilman. Also, do you see Foden starting today and why? Yes, my predicted team would be that he'd play off the right. Due. Absolutely due. I think he will start. Yeah, I think they'll... to the naked eye, I would think Mahrez against Reguilon would be not great. But I think City will want to isolate space in kind of the half positions between wide and 10. And Foden's ideal for that sort of thing coming off the right. So, yeah, I think he plays. Mika says, hi, I love your streams, keep up. I hope he doesn't, by the way. I hope Manchester City just don't turn up, full stop. Mika says, hi James, love your streams, keep up the good work. Who would you play this week, Cancelo or Ayling? If you got the City players, got to play for me. As he says, Bruno is clearly the favourite to replace Salah in many people's thoughts, but what for you is the differential premium that could pay off in the long run? Aubameyang. you wouldn't go there. You wouldn't go there. I really like Aubameyang game week 12 and 13, home to Burnley and Southampton. It's quite interesting, actually. I've got that in the back of my mind. Long term, to be honest, it's got to be a City guy. So if you're saying differential, I mean, KDB's not far off one at the moment, to be honest. But therefore, I've got to say Sterling, really. Benny Blanco says, thanks, James. Still with the differential team. I could move Aguero. Fucking hell, Benny. I could move Aguero, Adams, or Wilson to Watkins for free. Would you do it? If so, who for? Yeah, Watkins. Aguero to Watkins, mate. Hold the money to make the move back next week. Panda says, morning, mate. Just checking in whilst getting my sheets ready. Good to chat last night. Good luck this week. Thank you, Rob. I had a brilliant chat with Rob about FPL Panda last night on Zoom. Superstar. What a lad. Priscilla said, when are you planning to get the City premiums? Next week or the week after or 2 weeks after that? Ideally, I want to get at least one next week, ideally, and I'm happy to take another -4 to do it. John says, what do you think of my forward line? Bamford, Kane and DCL. Sounds good, mate. Miller Marsh. Hi, James. Would you risk Rashford or play Barnes? Good luck this week. If Rashford's sitting in your team, you can't be leaving him on the bench or something. You got to stick him in the team. Flapjack's in. Morning, mate. Hello, pal. Hope you're well. Effie Finger 7. Cheers, James. What's your plan about holding the wildcard late? Thinking of taking advantage from game week 10 with a fixture turn. What would I be losing? You'd be losing the best possible lineup for a free hit 18, bench boost 19. But if your team's in real damage, I think next week is the best week to do it because of the massive City swing against Tottenham. I think it's probably the best week to pull it. You've also got Leicester walking into 3 good fixtures. Villa's runs obviously continuing. Liverpool then walking to Brighton away. I think next week is the best one to do it. If you're going to pull it, I think next week is the best. But I'm holding off. I don't think I'm in disaster straight. I've got players in my team I don't really want at the moment, like Raul Jimenez, but it's not the worst thing in the world, right? He's amazingly consistent. Michael Chart says, hi James, would you captain Bruno? It's on the screen, Michael. Bottom right hand corner, my friend. Jasim says, hi James, play bench. Dallas Lamptey, play Dallas bench Lamptey. Adnan says, hi James, Trent out for Cresswell target. No Villa defensive cover. Yeah, I prefer to go Villa than West Ham at the moment. For me, I know Cresswell's done really well. It's not a price that I like. I'd rather go for Masuaku cheaper. But yeah, I'd want to go to Villa at the moment, I think. Neil says, hi James, thanks for the excellent content. I'm wondering if a game week 10 double up Aguero, Jesus is stupid, or could it work? The chance of them both playing together? Extremely unlikely, by the way. Omar, you just got muted, mate. Thanks for asking the three questions in a row simultaneously. I see 4, 5, 6. You just got muted, mate. That's a warning for anybody. You don't need to repeat questions. I'm just going to mute you, and then your questions won't get asked again in the future. I'm really tired of people spamming the chat. Cole says, morning everyone, good luck this week. Eric says, morning James, I haven't taken one hit this season, obviously because it gets minus points. Can I suddenly take a -12, have enough transfer to make coming weeks? No, I'm never keen on a -12. It always feels one step too far for me, a -12. I don't think I've ever taken a -12, personally. I think it's probably one too many. If you've got mass problems, say you've got, I don't know, Trent, Pulisic, Salah all sitting there, I think you can go like a -8 and do the next one the following week. Danny McDonald says, start Adams or Cancelo. That's a more difficult one, but I think if you've got a player like Che Adams, you just got to forget the fixture and play him, I think. Jovel says, Jamal Lewis for the next 6 fixtures. Yes, Newcastle will have a nice 5 fixtures after the Chelsea game. If it's rotational, I don't hate it. Vikram says, TAA, Saka and Son to Cresswell or Masuaku. Bruno and Jota for a -4. Vikram, you've got so much going on there, mate. TAA to Saka and Son to Cresswell, or Masuaku, Bruno and that question doesn't make sense, Vikram. I'm really sorry, mate. James Alaparan, how do we feel about Martial? I think he starts. There's doubts over Cavani as well, so that probably makes that a little bit more secure today. He's on the list, mate. I really don't hate him as a captaincy option today at all. FPL Warrior, start Dallas or Lamptey. That's a repetitive one. Dallas. Frank Sherman, hi James, to start Lamptey, Taylor or Mitchell. Taylor. Riley O'Hagan, hi James. Who'd start out? Nico Williams, Kilman or Soufal? Go Nico Williams, mate. Balls out. Go for it. Benedict Wong, will Sterling start? I have no idea, mate, because I don't pick the team, but my instinct would be yes. Chris Wood says Salah to Bruno for a -4. I intend to get Salah back and KDB alongside him, so will potentially be another -4 in game week 10. -4s for captaincies and big premium players, Chris. Don't hate it, embrace it. Lewis C says, thoughts on captain Vardy as a differential. Good luck this game week. I don't hate it. As I've said already in the stream. There were players not on my top 10 choices who I think are very reasonable this week. Jamie Vardy, Heung-min Son, Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford. There are lots. Honestly. I think if you're not going Fernandes, it's extremely wide open. Nobody's mentioning Mane so far in the chat, and I think he's a great shout this week if you're sitting on Sadio Mane personally. So it's really wide open, but it wouldn't be for me. I've obviously mentioned this stat a number of times of Vardy scoring more goals against Klopp's Liverpool than any other player in the Premier League since Klopp arrived. But I was doing some thinking, and I don't know the answer to this because I didn't search. It was just before I started. I was asking myself, has he ever scored at Anfield? And I was trying to rack my brain. I couldn't think of one. I think nearly all of his goals have been at the King Power. Not that that particularly matters too much with obviously Liverpool's defensive issues today, but I mean, it's not for me from a captaincy perspective. Pepsi says, morning James, Morpay or Lookman to start. Again, it's similar to the Adams question previously. You've got to go Morpay even if it's burning you a bit. If you're kind of thinking Villa away, I don't want to play Morpay, you should probably think about taking a hit and removing the bastard, maybe for Watkins. Tallfig said, is Salah to KDB looks good? Question. Yeah, it's fine, mate. Especially that Havertz didn't play for 3 weeks. So I guess that will happen to Salah. Do not assume that what happened to Kai Havertz will happen to Mo Salah. Do not use premium COVID cases as examples of what's going to happen next. Personally, if I had Mo Salah, I'd be getting him out, personally, because I just wouldn't have the information. And if you leave it this week and you find he's out for Brighton again, and then you're looking at the next week and going, Wolves, you're really going to bang against Wolves. Oh, and I don't know if he's going to be back for that either. And you think, then you're going to be thinking, I want to move. So for me, personally, I would move him, but I also understand that other people who might have really good bench headaches this week and think, do you know what, it will cover me. I'll look at it again next week. That's okay. Just personally, I would move it, but definitely I would say don't judge one COVID case by another. There's no guarantee that's going to be the case, right? Charlie Costa says Barkley is a punt over Grealish and Van Aanholt for Salah and Lamptey. You can go Barkley over Grealish. Van Aanholt for Salah and Lamptey. I don't understand what you're asking me there, Charlie. Sorry, mate. But Barkley over Grealish, yeah, if you want to do it as a punt it. But Jack Grealish's value is going to keep soaring, I'm telling you. Soraya C says, hey James, plan to do Morpay and Trent, Richarlison and PVD, I presume you mean PVA, which means I'll bench Semedo and Lamptey and be starting Jimenez. Thanks for sharing what you're doing with your team. FPL Classico, good morning James, I think Southampton's defence is kind of going under the radar. 4 clean sheets in 8 games in which they've conceded more than 1 goal just 3 times. Facing Wolves, Man United, Brighton, Sheffield United, Arsenal. Yeah, and I intend to be using Walker Peters in a couple of those, but then you cut off the next 2 fixtures after that, which is important and has to be part of the conversation, which is Arsenal away and Manchester City at home. So that's the next 6. There's a slightly bigger picture there, but yeah, Walker Peters hanging around for me, no problem at all. I'll use him when I want to. Jack S says Rashford to Ziyech, Jota, Foden as a free transfer. I'd be going Ziyech out of them. Ike's Praven, sorry if I butchered that, mate. No, it's not triple captain, mate. Mr. A says, hello James, as an Ultra Spurs fan, will you ever sell Son and Kane at some point of the season, or is it like unforgivable for you personally in your FPL team? You, sir, are very new as a Planet FPL listener, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, I'll bomb them out without hesitation, mate. Until the Manchester United game, I had no intention of having either of them, right? And I've gone through whole FPL seasons before with no Spurs players. In fact, my best ever rank was when Spurs come second in 16-17, when I finished 21k, and I didn't own, unbelievably, Harry Kane, Dele Alli, Heung-min Son, any of them. I didn't own any of them the whole season. So, no, I mean, to be honest, I said in the restart period, until I see something different from Mourinho, I won't own any Spurs players at all. Then I saw things that were very different. So I could conceivably sell both of them next week. I would have, personally, if I hadn't walked into the Trent and Pulisic problems, I probably would have sold Kane this week. Was my original plan in a couple of weeks back. Another hoops, alright mate, good luck this week. Should I play Foden or Bowen? Ooh, that's a more difficult one, mate. I'd probably lean into Bowen, but tough call, that one. That really is a tough call. I'd go Bowen. Classico says, your thoughts regarding the nailedness of Mitchell? Not. Justin at Leicester, becoming an increasing problem. Cancelo at Man City, first choice but always liable for rotation. Mr. A, I fancy Spurs and felt like a traitor having sold both Son and Kane. You'll survive, mate. Bat says, show the team on the maximise screen. Lol. Listen, this is me, right? I'm no tech wizard. It's fortunate you managed to get that up there at all. What you could always do, right? Take a screenshot on YouTube now on your phone, and then you can zoom into it if you want. Captaincy, mate. Good luck for the week. Hope all is well. Thank you, mate. Thank you as ever for your work on the graphics and your sterling work on the Champ Man streams as well. TJ Dara, I love how I justify every FPL decision off James' opinion. Haha, good luck this weekend, everyone. TJ, you've probably got a bad rank. I apologise for that, mate. Owen Walsh says, morning, James. Best one weekish defender punt. Best of luck, mate. Gonna sort out Patreon next week. I can teach you how to pronounce my name. I would look forward to that, my friend. 1 week punt defensively. Luca Dean, if you can get there. That might not be easy for you from a value perspective. Alex Telles, cheaper, might be better. Otherwise, Charlie Taylor for a week. In fact, you probably wouldn't go Charlie Taylor because it's a doubt. Although I think he'll play. I guess Loughton's at risk because Bardsley's fit as well. So probably scrap Burnley. Another cheaper Everton. I'll tell you who might maybe. I think John Joe Kenny is available. And that will be a real out there punt for 1 week. Your social media assistant Dan Ball. James, does people hating on the international break grate on you? It does for me. But glad the Premier League is back. Listen, people hate on everything. I woke up this morning to a timeline. I can't believe De Bruyne's price has gone up. I just look at it and go, that's a shock. Oh well, never mind. The international break pisses me off. But it doesn't piss me off from an FPL perspective. It pisses me off from a Tottenham perspective. I think we're on a run. We're winning games. We could do without this. Players travelling, the risk of injuries, etc., etc. But just get on with it. I prefer to do the moaning on the podcast rather than on Twitter because you just look like you're moaning all the time. GF morning, James Castagna Diaz. I'm wildcard and already have Cancelo. City double up defensively could be great, you know. William Jones, hi James, sorry for that, didn't quite word my question right. What do you make of this? -4, Salah and Son to Bruno, captain and Ziyech. It's fine. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. The only thing with... I obviously coming off Son and Ziyech, Son obviously down to Ziyech as well. So you're definitely going to leave yourself the money to go back to Son or, Salah or a City player. So yeah, that's reasonable, William. I don't hate that. Morning, James. My name is James. That's really handy for me. James or Ziyech for next 3-4 games. Well, I don't know obviously who you're selling there from that perspective. You sound like you obviously want a Chelsea asset. For me and my team at the moment, if Reece James was an easy get, I would do it. Ziyech, I obviously could have gone to and haven't. So probably James for me. Excuse me, Notorious Nerd. One to get Zaha or Ziyech. Ziyech, purely because Such has got Zaha. I'm not keen. What I would say is if you're going Wilfried Zaha, it's another one I go now. The problem is as well, you'll find you may want to manoeuvre people around because of the City fixtures and that next week, and you don't want to be selling Wilfried Zaha in the next 2. So if you're going in, stay for free. Rob Pix has done Salah and Trossard to Bruno, captain and Ziyech this week with 2 FTs. Keeping the double Spurs to see how it looks versus City and see which one or both to move on. Good luck, and to you, mate. Badman Tunes, I said, do you know if any Prem players play FPL? But your specs on great stream. Sorry, mate. I haven't got specs, but I probably should have read them. There are lots of Premier League players who play FPL. Loads. You only have to look through the official FPL accounts timeline. And some of the football clubs now as well. I don't know specific players, but there are loads. I wouldn't be surprised if it's most. Probably roughly about 112, I'd say. Tim Wilton Davis, I doubt Prem players would be permitted to play FPL on or bet or games. They all play FPL, mate. They all play FPL. Zaris says, do you think Mitchell will play? Greetings from Greece, my friends. You are awesome. You make me laugh when you read my message. Do you know what, Zaris? When you message, it makes me laugh. So we're in this boat together. I don't think he'll play, mate. Jigs John says, hi mate, start Lamptey or Bellerin. George Butler, would you have double City defence with KDB, or is that blocking another City attack if they find some form? It obviously is blocking, but I just answered for another question. Really could pay good. I mean, the next 4 home games have got Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Newcastle. And actually, just pulls my ticker out. Manchester City's next 7 home games, if you've already used your first wild card, are Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Newcastle, Brighton, Crystal Palace and Sheffield United until they play Tottenham at home in game week 24. If I'd already used my wild card, I would definitely be looking for a City defensive asset, and I would go for the one I trust to play the most, and that is Ruben Diaz. T-Tac, would you start Souček or Nico? Do you know what? If I had something really obvious, say I had Luka Dane, and I had to have a choice between Souček and Nico Williams to play, I would play Souček, actually. But I'd still prefer Nico over my other 2 defensively. Souček is so close to being in my team this week because of the amount of aerial chances Sheffield United are conceding from crosses. But also know Sheffield United are very capable of keeping a clean sheet and shutting it out. So I've gone with Nico. No one else is going to have double Liverpool defensive, are they? I realise that I'm off my head, but I'll go with it. Anna says, hi James, do you think Rashford will start? I've got him as captain, DCL as vice captain. What do you think? It's going to be brilliant if he starts. I've said, I've already discussed it in the stream, my instinct is that he probably won't. Bloody hell, time's got on. Just to flag, guys, it is 12 minutes to deadline, according to my clock. Do get your teams locked in. Apologies, there's a lot of you I'm not going to get to your questions, but I will go through these quick fire now. No probs, T-Tac. Anna says, hi James, do you think that's the one we've done? Benny Blanco, my favourite part of the streams are when you lose your shit with people. I mean, if you get asked the same question over and over again, which obviously my wife gives me a lot as well. Ankit says, hi James, do I captain Vardy or DCL? Bottom right hand corner of the screen, Ankit. There you get my preference. Reece Smith, would you transfer in Ziyech for Son for free? No, I don't think I would actually. Brian Yule, morning James. I'll switch Salah to Tielemans in FPL and Watkins in Sky. I think this season has finally broken me. Dally Paul, everyone getting in Fernandes and captain him. I already have, so if I get half his points anyway, and if I captain Jota, I'll get double, and everybody just need him to do something. Am I overthinking it? You are overthinking it. FPL telling Josh, maybe a simple one for you, so apologies in advance, but would you do Pulisic to Ziyech for -4, or just bench Pulisic and say play Souček? Already have Bruno in and captain, get Pulisic out, mate. Lampard said they were going to be very cautious on his return. I wouldn't even bank on him being back for next week or the week after. Get him out, my friend. Srijif, Watkins for Bamford. If it's for free, I don't mind that. Connor Campbell, will Mitchell start? My instinct is no. It's an opinion. Graf Filkoff, James, what you think Richarlison over DCL? I feel he will smash it this game week. You've answered your own question there, mate. Crack on. Kian Hui Lim to play Callum Wilson or Souček? Wilson. One sloppy tackle from whoever plays centre-half alongside Zuma for Chelsea, and it's a Newcastle penalty. So I think you play the forward. I've spoke about this a lot with Mitrovic. If you've got this sort of player, play him. Genuinely, play Callum Wilson. Reece Smith, do you think Sterling will start? My opinion is yes. FPL Warrior have Rashford and Bruno. Is armband on Bruno overkill, or should I spread the risk with Capo on non-Man United? It's okay, mate. You don't have to spread your risk. That's your best choice. Do it. Yansky says, what to do with Bale? Naught in the bank. Move him on. Honestly. If it means, I think he probably starts tomorrow, but I wouldn't be certain of that, to be honest. We discussed this on Thursday's pod as well. I would be looking to manoeuvre a position, mate, where you can get from Bale to De Bruyne, Sterling next week. I know what you're saying, you've got nothing in the bank. So it's okay, you can leave. I'd be looking to manoeuvre a position to get up from him to one of the City guys. Jassim says, and it's okay to do that next week, by the way. Jassim says, hi James, do you fancy Bruno with armband next week versus Saints? Possibly, yes. If I don't buy Sterling or De Bruyne, I would probably captain Bruno Fernandes next week. Actually, I've spoken on a few pods this week and said I really like that fixture for Bruno next week. So don't hate that at all. That's my fallback option as it stands if I walk into problems. Cameron says, hey, Vardy or KDB on a free hit. Okay, free hitting now. Cool. That was kind of like a buzz thing earlier in the week, wasn't it? KDB for me, if it helps you, Cameron. I wish you luck with your free hit. Torfix says, thank you, James, for your hard, dedicated work ethics and bearing your stupid measure. I think you mean putting up with our stupid questions, yet happily glad to answer all of it. Really appreciate everything you do. No probs. Thanks, Torfig. Classico says, thanks for the feedback. Have a good game week 9, you too. Karawawa says, hey, it's my wife's birthday today. Can you give a shout out to Carmen Mymouth? Carmen Mymouth, happy birthday. Have a party, but please social distance and all that malarkey. Reece Smith, do you rate Kyle Walker in defence for FPL? Yeah, I don't mind it, mate. It's pretty locked as far as City goes. Generally speaking, there's always a risk with a City player, but he's going to play the majority of games. Praise his son or James Rodriguez. Well, you could never leave either on the bench. If I was buying one now, it would be James with Everton's next 3 fixtures. Vivek said, which of 2 to play of Semedo, Lamptey, Kilman or Adams and James? Keshav, Wilson, capital letters, guys, is another thing that really hacks me off. Shamil says roughly 112 players play FPL. There you go. Lionel Masby, who's better, Semedo or Van Aanholt to play this week? It's a really difficult one, actually. I'd want to play both. You can't leave either of them out. I don't think you can leave PVA out. So play PVA. William Jones, hi James. Final question, is this the right bench order? Lamptey, Brewster, Mitchell. Keep up the good work on all the streams. Very informative as usual. Good luck as well this week, mate. I would maybe just go Brewster first. A little bit of upside there, maybe. Chances are it won't matter for you. Zarish, do you think that I should take out TAA and Robbo? I want Panathinaikos from Greece to play Spurs. That would be awesome. Greetings from Greece. It was very awesome when we played Panathinaikos back in the Europa League. That would have been 2011-12. 1-1 in Greece. Michael Dawson scored for Spurs. We won 3-1 at home. Jermaine Defoe definitely scored at least once. But yeah, good memories, Zaris. I very nearly went out to Athens, actually. Dally Paul, I don't think Nico Williams will play, mate. James Milner will play right back. Oh no, I better change it. Listen, thing is, right, this is the gamble. So if he doesn't play, what's the chance of him being used as a substitute? Small. I have Luke Ayling to come in. I don't care. And I think he will play, personally. I think it's actually dependent on if who's going to play centre-half. So if Liverpool have to play a couple of kids, I think if Reece Williams has to play at centre-back, then I think Milner will probably play at right-back. So I think it's a little bit dependent on that. Lax Pravan, you are not going to get a recommendation from me on a triple captain in this game week, mate. FPL Neil, hey James, hope you're well. What are your predictions for the Spurs game this week? I predicted 2-0 City. Every other comment I see predicts a high scoring encounter. It's 6 minutes to deadline, guys, and I can see the end of the questions. So if you've got any quick stuff, fire it in and I will probably get to it for you. John Mould, BVBMBB and John Mould. Nice, mate. FPL Warrior, is there anywhere we can find your captain choices in order of preference? Ideally in a colour coordinated table. Well, FPL Warrior, luckily for you, I know you're taking the piss. Yeah, you know, most of them know. But for those who don't understand the question, bottom right, Vikram says TAA and Son to Telles and Rashford. I don't think I'd be buying Marcus Rashford this week, personally. I definitely wouldn't be selling if I had him, but no, not for me. Rohan says KDB versus Sterling. This week I would buy KDB, but I would probably buy KDB this week if I knew I was buying Sterling next week. General Vox, Bruno could play deeper against West Brom. Low block to supply through balls to Martial and Rashford and may not get a chance to score. United often struggle against low blocks. What are your thoughts? I don't think he'll play deeper. I think he'll play at 10. What will happen when Bruno does that is invariably they can't score and they bring on attacking players and then he goes and plays central midfield. But I don't think he'll start in that position. It's just when they start getting desperate towards the end of the game, then he goes a little bit deeper, which is bad, by the way. But I don't think he'll start in that position. Heavy Finger 7, quick follow-up on the late wildcard question earlier. Second wildcard can be used to take advantage of 18, 19. You just prefer having it for later on to reshape your team. I prefer it to manoeuvre the blanks in 26, 29, 32 / doubles over that period is what I'm preferring to use the second wildcard for, mate. Dave Perrins, yo, just popping in and say hi. Yo, Dave, hope you're well. Nicola Torco, start Charlie Taylor over KWP. Yep, that's clear. I'm playing Taylor, benching KWP. Zaris says, do you think I should take out TAA and Robbo for the future? You didn't answer my question. Sorry, mate. I forgot. TAA should go. I'm holding Robertson for now, so that's the solution. Vic Ram says, Souček to Jota. Nah, keep. Jason Yoroff, who to play? Lamptey or Kilman? Thanks, Kilman. Dally Paul, Robbo, Matip, Phillips, Milner will be back for because Hendo injured and Fab will need to play DM. Thanks for your solution there, Jurgen Klopp. Paul Hunted and Mitch are out for Bamford, -4. Nah, it's not the worst fixture for Mitrovic, you know. Not for -4, not for me, Paul. Noel, who to captain? Jimenez? No, you didn't ask that question. Bottom right. Jordan Harris, hi James. Any changes made to your Sky team this week, mate? And who you got your captains on each day? Jordan, hold that thought. I will cover that at 11 o'clock. Super Spurs, thanks, bro. Good luck on my question. 3 points or 90 points. As in, what would I prefer this week? 3 points or 90 points. Listen, you're offering me Tottenham 3 points or I get 400 FPL points. I'm going to take the 3 points for Spurs, mate. So Tourist says Souček or Adams to start. Adams. Blair H done a -4. Salah and Trent to KDB and Reece James. Contemplating another -4. Barkley. Podence out. Am I being crazy? No, you're not. I don't hate that, actually. I would probably do it. Sage, start Cole Walker-Peters or Kilman. Kilman, just Graf. Who is your toilet this season? You mean my Fernando Llorente? Who's my toilet? The player really frustrated. I guess it has to be Matt Doherty, which I'm very reluctant to say at the moment. So obviously he's got COVID. Wish him a speedy recovery. He's been better the last few games, actually. Dally Paul, Tellers will take a lot of set pieces off Bruno. Mate, we've covered this. Sam Thomas currently starting Kilman over Morty. Dally Paul, do you just want to come in and just like make comments to just stir shit? Or Sam Thomas currently starting Kilman over Morpay. Do you agree? No, I don't. You're welcome, Paul. FPL Warrior, thanks for the advice as always, James. You're always a calming influence as the deadline looms. No problem, mate. Helps when you lock your team in the night before. Manoeuvre, still in the thought of vice captain a player in a different game to captain. Generally speaking, yes, unless it's absolutely blindingly obvious like it was with Kane and Son in the West Brom Tottenham game last week. Generally speaking, yes. Shamil says, calm my mouth, done like a kipper there, James. It fucking happens. Yeah. At all, I want to mute some of these comments. Do so, mate. Z21293, keep up the great work, James. Good luck for the game week. Fessines1, captain. Yeah, it's on the screen, mate. Zaris, in the start, I didn't like you because you seemed very serious. Now you're my favourite. Have a nice weekend. Greetings from Greece. Listen, I'm always serious, but I'm just laid back serious. Sage, Salah to KDB for a hit or wait a week. Get it done. I'm surprised I haven't had more questions like that, actually. Yeah, for me, it's removed Salah. Jassim says Man City defence and Vardy or Leicester defence and Man City attackers for the next 4 game weeks. Why can't it be Man City defence and Man City attackers? Because that would probably be my preference, actually. Blair H done the Barkley move. Thanks, James. Good luck for the game week. Blair H, I apologise in advance. I was obviously joking. You really shouldn't have done that move. You actually done it. I feel really bad for you, mate. Get in. No, yeah. Good luck, mate. I hope it goes well. Feel free to blame me when it goes wrong. Heavy Finger 7. Thanks as always, James. Have a great game week. Part of the reason I say that, Blair, is I think Podence might come out of the Wolves team as well this week. They've got to get Traore back in that team. Benny Blanco, in one of my Sky teams, hold that thought for more than a minute, mate, because it's 1 minute to deadline. Get yourselves locked in, guys. Zaris Slint for Bruno, 20 points and captain. That would be awesome. John Mould, sorry, mate. Daughter had phone. Good luck. Love it, John. Brilliant, mate. Hope she's well. Mr. Chills, Antonio in. I think he'll be a sub. Personally, so I would not be making that move. I make it 11 o'clock now, guys. So I'll hang around for 10 minutes or so. If anybody wants to ask any non-FPL questions, I'm happy to cover them. like Benny's, and I'll cover the previous Sky question I had. Apologies, I can't remember who asked it. So Benny's saying in one of my Sky teams, I've got the Son and Kane double up. I have Zaha and James Rodriguez. Would you consider moving Son to a Vardy or a Gabriel, or hold the double for a bit longer? I would probably, when Arsenal play next week, it'd be the Sunday as well. It's not great solutions here. I've already mentioned about Kane to Vardy in Sky, and I'm not keen on that this week. Just saying Vardy versus Liverpool and Kane versus Chelsea, basically. If Vardy blanks, I think he'll already be regretting that move, personally. I think it's better to do that the Monday after. So, wait and see how you feel at the end of the day, Benny. You know where my DMs are on that. You can hit me up on the Slack channel. We can talk about it, seek opinion on there. But I'd wait. At the moment, I'm likely to go Son to Matip tomorrow, which I watched the Hub stream last night with Andrew Ferguson, Paul McNulty and Liam Dorian, and they absolutely poo-pooed the idea of Liverpool defensively, which is great because it just makes me more confident in terms of what I want to do in doing it. The other Sky question was, someone's asked me who my captains will be this week. So my captain today in Sky will be Bruno Fernandes. Tomorrow it will be Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And Monday it will be Gator. If I walk into a big problem, I might get Zaha in, but I don't think that I'm going to go that way. I think Gator will cover me enough for Monday and Friday. And for those not playing Sky, you won't have understood anything I said. But then I did ask for non-FPL questions. Vikram saying, for the long run, Mane or KDB? KDB. Felix, is Ferran Torres a good pick? Would he get minutes? Yes, but it's unpredictable at the moment. Obviously, deadline's gone, as a reminder. Josh Smith, thanks for the advice. James, legend, good luck for the game week and have a great weekend. You too, Josh, appreciate that. Edwin Grand says, I missed the leaked lineups. Heavy finger 7. Did you miss early team news, or did the change eliminate stress for you? I prefer it without, personally. It got to a position where you start last 10-minute thing and you had to be ready and on your toes. And invariably, it probably wouldn't affect you from a decision-making perspective. There was a couple of times I changed my bench order because of it and stuff. It didn't affect me on a transfer at the end, but it did affect my bench. There was one I heard Robertson wasn't playing and I benched him. And it was one that really worked in my favour in the restart period, where I was going to bench Danny Ings away to Watford, unbelievably. And I think there was something in the Villa Wolves game, maybe. I think it might have been Traore not starting, I think. And so I put Ings back in the team. That seems incredible to think about now. But I prefer it without. Peter G, hi James, Sky question. By the way, I loved Rockstar though. We've shared a few DMs and that, and he was so good. In terms of so reliable. Peter G, hi James, Sky question. Do you think Zaha will outscore Romeo by enough points over the next 3 games to make it worthwhile using a transfer? The caution I'd have on that, Peter, is West Brom and Palace obviously could be the Friday night in match week 11, and there's a strong possibility also could be Brighton against Southampton on the Friday. And therefore there's not the gain on that, but do I think you'll outscore him by enough to make it worthwhile? It would depend on where them fixtures landed, is the honest answer. What I would say is, if you've got no coverage for Palace, Newcastle on the Friday night, there is no excuse not to buy Wilfried Zaha. And therefore I would get him. General Vox says, time to start regretting your decisions. Don't do that. Think forwards. Maneuver says, top 5 Tottenham players in terms of just being a nice bloke. Interesting question. I've obviously not met the majority of these. It's difficult to say, but first names that spring to mind: Ledley King, Gary Mabbott, Gary Lineker, probably. There's not a Gary theme going on here. The Champman guys will appreciate that comment. Nicest Spurs players. Who we got from the current team? You'd think, I bet they're really nice. Harry Winks, Ben Davis, I bet they're good boys. I think Bergwijn comes across as a really, really nice character. So does Lucas Moura, actually, as well. But the first two that sprang to mind, Ledley and Gary Mabbott. Zaris says, what happened with Jimenez? Doesn't seem like the past years. What should we do with him? Well, I've been trying to get rid of him for weeks, but I just can't. It just never becomes priority enough to move him on. He needs to hang around the box a little bit more. I mean, particularly in Leicester games, going so deep. I don't know if that's the impact of Traore not playing or not. Certainly Traore playing would be good for him. Good luck to you too, Chris. Atul, have you personally met any pro footballers? Yeah, but older ones like Gary Mabbott. In terms of current players, I mean, Ledley is not a current player. the fuck? I still feel like he's playing for us sometimes. Current players, have I met any of the current Spurs players? It would only be in passing or something. The honest answer to that question, I think, is no. Natufako and Love, which people's poll section list y'all covering for next week? I don't know yet, is the honest answer. I haven't given it any thought yet. I suspect it might end up being a bit on dementia, actually, which is kind of in the news at the moment, heading the ball and stuff like that. I think that will probably feature in the poll, but then I want to find some other topics, therefore, that would not be FPL. Because unfortunately, if I just put that in with an FPL topic, an FPL topic will win. So I'll give that some thought. But if that doesn't feature this week, it probably will the week after. Christopher Guinness, Spurs front line is better than City's. Do you agree? Look, if Bale's fully fit, our front three is probably better than anyone's. The problem is what's behind it. So in terms of overall attack, still City's for me. If you want to group, I would group City's as a 5, depending on system. And then you put in the two attacking mids into that front three. And then it's definitely City's better. So it depends how you view that. Sabisi one says, hi James, what do you think of McTominay? I think he has the worst IQ of any Premier League player. I can't think I've ever seen him talk, actually. So it'd be rude of me to comment. I like him as a player, actually. I thought there was a lot of things in the Arsenal game where it felt like he wasn't following instruction. But that diamond role didn't suit him. He wanted to go and play into areas a little bit more centrally that was more suitable for him. Him and Fred are a decent partnership. I was discussing this with FPL Panda last night, that they're never going to be great with those two, but it's the best two for them at the moment in terms of progression in the immediate. Decent player. I like him. He's obviously plays centre-half for Scotland as well, so he's multifunctional. He's still young. Easy to forget that. Nino Gitter says, James, your football knowledge is set into none on the FPL community. I love Mark Southerns, Az, Andy, etc. But you have this natural ability to dissect a game in such an engaging and fascinating way. You mentioned 3 of the best people in this community, mate. Andy, I've spoken to a number of times. Great. Mark and Az are doing amazing work on the black box, and we have shared a couple of DMs between the 3 of us as well. All top people. So it's nice to be compared, but I mean, these guys are FPL gods. Maybe the way I talk about football might be a bit different. These guys are definitely better FPL players than me. Josh Smith, I miss having the instant regret of last season when deadline was just now before the early match. Vikram says, do you prefer one game at a time or multiple games at the same time? One game at a time to continue till fans are let in. I think this will continue. The thing is, when they're all I will watch all 10. Oh, like tonight. Obviously Tottenham playing at 5:30, so I'm kicking Harry and the wife out, so because it's too big a game. It'll be like, who is this lunatic father I've got? So they'll come back afterwards. I probably won't watch Manchester United and West Brom live. I will generally switch my phone off and probably watch it about midnight, but I will watch all the games, and I'd rather not. I'd rather have 4 games on at 3 o'clock on a Saturday and just choose whichever one I wanted. Give Suj a bell, say, Suj, which one you watching? Okay, I'll watch this one then. And then I'll speak to my correspondents about the other 2 or something. So, yeah, I think it was more exciting to have 4 or 5 games at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, wasn't it? Certainly from an FPL perspective, anyway. Jordan Harrison, how you get on in Champ Man this week, mate? Cheers for the quality content. I got 51 points, so red arrow this week. That was 51 net. So I think I had 55 minus 4 I had to get rid of Dyer and Shearer, didn't I? But I'm very well set up for the next couple of weeks. So I always knew when I picked my team at the start that game week 2 was probably going to be bad. Then to lose Shearer and Dyer was obviously going to make it bad. But the next 2 game weeks should be really good. Game week 3 and 4. I've got Henshaw and Gerrard sitting in the team, so I'm half prepped for game week 5 as well. The plan is Rebroff to Janssen probably in game week 5. So I'm quite set in terms of what I'm doing. Renard 9, apologies if you covered already, but do you expect Bale to start today? Fitness seems to be improving all the time. We covered it a bit on COTC, my friend. Yes, probably. But I would not genuinely, if I saw the team and Lucas Moura's in it, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I wouldn't be like, I really wouldn't be surprised. I think it's more likely they'll use him for an hour and then take him off. When I say an hour, that could be 70, 75, 80 minutes. He could play the whole game if it's going well. But I suspect he starts and probably plays 70-ish minutes or so. Paul H. Hi, James. You doubling up on Man City attack next week? I'm probably not going to be able to, no. It would be a -8 for me. It's probably going to be a -4 to get 1, so probably not. Mark Ainsworth, hey James, do you think Saiss will play? Instinct would be no. Mr. A, what do you think about Harry Kane's future career? I can see him moving to Barca or Real Madrid in the future. Might be Barca once Messi is retired. Your thoughts? Harry Kane's a Messi replacement. That just doesn't quite have the ring, does it? I'd probably be more worried about Real Madrid, actually, than Barca. But I'm not worried about it at all. I mean, those who listen to me regularly will know I said in the restart period that Harry Kane should have asked to leave Tottenham. It's genuine, is my opinion, for his own career. Now, things look a little bit different now, so if the season goes the way it's going, he'll still be at Tottenham next next season, and then I wouldn't fear it. I really thought it was a potential that Harry Kane would have gone this summer after the shit season we had last year. I just think, what is this? But he's obviously reinventing himself at the moment. It's going very well, so I wouldn't see him. I'd be amazed if he left this summer. That said, if we finish 5th or 6th and finish the season badly, then I will probably again say for his career he should leave. In terms of the future, I would think it's probably more likely, depending on how long he stays with Tottenham. If he stays with Tottenham another 2-3 years, he's not going to go to one of these clubs, I don't think. I think it's more likely that you'll find he'll end up in the MLS at the end of his career. He's a huge American football fan and stuff. He's got ambitions to come on as a kicker and that. And he will do it. I can genuinely see Harry Kane scoring the winning kick in a Super Bowl final. No jokes. There's one you can say for a later date. Renard 9, Anderton. Darren Anderton was a nice fella, yeah. Shaggy. What a guy. FPL tips, Super Yan seems a nice bloke. Yeah, but do you remember all the Christian Eriksen rumours? Alana says, hope you're good, James. I am. I hope you're well too, mate. I've gone DCL captain this week. Have you done a prediction of the Spurs lineup for this week? Might have missed it if you have. Thanks for the content. It's always good luck. So started doing for my advanced tier patrons team lineup predictions for all 20 teams. My predicted Spurs lineup would be just the one change, would be Aurier in for Doherty, which is obviously enforced. But again, wouldn't surprise me if Lucas was in the team. Wouldn't surprise me if Ndombele was potentially removed and he went with a flatter midfield 3, even with Harry Winks or Lo Celso in a more withdrawn position, or Lo Celso in that same position. But I wouldn't expect many changes. I know Ricky said on COTC he thought Davis might play over Reguilon. I don't particularly share that opinion. I think Reguilon will play. FPL Medusa, thoughts on Mourinho's comments on Sterling fitness? It's just trying to wind Guardiola up, mate. TJ Dara says dark milk or white chocolate. Milk. I had to think about that then. I just had to think that I was choosing the right one. Eric locked in Rashford captain, Sterling in, not KDB, and -12. Everything you said you wouldn't do. Cheers and fuck me. Good luck, mate. Genovox favourite cuisine. Do I look like a cuisine guy to you, mate? Atul says, I'd love a people's poll discussion on what you and Sid think about the money in football and how big clubs poach players from smaller clubs playing in the same league as them. I'm pretty sure we've done that sort of thing before, perhaps not as a focused podcast, but yeah, do you know what? We can potentially come back to that at some point, and probably not as an immediate, but I'll give that some thought, mate. It's definitely not a bad suggestion. Heavy Finger 7, once COVID madness over, which country would be top of your list for a vacation? Tottenham, mate. There's nowhere I want to go other than Tottenham at the moment. Somewhere warm, somewhere relaxing. Don't care. I'm not big on this. To be honest, the majority of the countries I've seen in this world have been travelling and watching Tottenham in Europe, mate. So, country I haven't been to, it's hard to visualise going anywhere at the moment, to be honest. I'd like to go to Argentina, personally, to watch Boca Juniors or River Plate. But, yeah, I think I might be being ambitious. Dally Paul, would Aubameyang ever be a must for you? No one's ever a must for me, mate. Stephen O'Brien, Mike's an FPL god, James is a football god. I'll take that, Stephen, thank you. Great Del Mondo, Jota or Tellez? As in, what does it mean, mate? Other than the FPL deadline went 16 minutes ago. Johnson, enjoy your weekend, James. All the best. FPL tips. Shiz always only listen to the last bits, but always good. Class listening. Have a good weekend. Hoping for Spurs win for FPL only. Good luck, H. I'm hoping for a Newcastle win. No offence, mate. Dally Paul, do you believe Spurs are real title contenders this season? No. Miller Marsh, apologies if you discussed it, but your thoughts on 5 subs. I think it's coming, whether we like it or not. I'm not keen. I think it's more the amount of fixtures is causing the injuries rather than actual subs. And I actually agreed with something that Nuno Santo said yesterday. That's basically what he said. It's the amount of fixtures. And it's obviously mainly the European teams that are kind of suffering on the injury point. But then European teams have the biggest and the deepest squads. So I would rather it stays 3 subs. But the fact that EFL's gone to 5 subs, the only difference with that is obviously with the EFL is they are always playing weekend, midweek. Certainly this side of Christmas, basically. Other than the midweek before Christmas because of the League Cup quarterfinals. So most Premier League teams are playing once a week, right? Generally, if you remove the European teams, until we get into game week, when did Tottenham play Liverpool? Game week 13. Then it's 1 game a week. So it's only really European teams that need it. I would prefer it stays 3. And the timing of it, after Guardiola and Klopp were like, yeah, we need more subs. And they played each other, and one of them used 2 subs and one of them used 1 sub. So there's you to blame as well. Poster points. Hi, James. Great stuff as always. What do you think the City v Spurs score will be? 2-0 City is my prediction. Abel Grant, Australia's ready for you, mate. Holiday-wise, that is. And FPL Annie says, good luck, James. Come on, you Spurs. Thanks very much, guys. Enjoy game week 9. Very best of luck in FPL. I hope your arrows in green if you're playing Sky. Very best of luck in that as well. Obviously, be back Monday. Be People's Poll Monday. Main podcast reviewing game week 9 will obviously be Tuesday, so we can take the Monday night games into that as well. I think me and Sidra both got a couple of players playing Monday nights. So we're definitely better off waiting until Tuesday. Sky Wednesday, Thursday's clash to correspondence. West Ham versus Aston Villa ahead of game week 10. FI_FPL Addict and Adam Hopcroft. Friday is obviously Deadline. My Deadline stream next Friday will be 6:30 deadline, so 5:30. I will probably do my Ask James stream therefore early on Friday morning, and I might allow my Deadline stream to be a little bit longer on a Friday night so I can incorporate Friday afternoon team news onto that potentially. Patrons, another 5 pods coming for you this week. Q&A Monday, Tottenham Tuesday. Wednesday's probably going to be Sky at extra time, but I kind of want to wait for these fixtures. Thursday will be quiz. I'll exclusively reveal to the patrons now. It'll be Blackburn Rovers Premier League years, most likely with a guest quiz master, but I need confirmation that's good to go. If not, I'll come up with something different. And Friday will obviously be the differential show game week 10 preview. Thank you very much, Mr. A. Thank you very much for everybody who's joined in. Give the video a like on your way out. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to join Patreon, don't do it and don't come from advice. This is basically the stream where you ask questions and I try and give my opinion and advice. If you join Planet FPL on Patreon, you're doing it because you're supporting our content, not because you think you're going to become a better FPL player. Have a good weekend, everybody. Come on, you Spurs. Ciao for now.